This is really, really nice. That one lime green stroke yellow tree just stands out from the background. Because of the denseness of the woods or the forest, we're not seeing any of the sky. So I really, really love that one tree. It's just gorgeous. So what I'm going to do now is play around with the composition. In actual fact, let me show you. That's really nice. I like this tree on the right hand side, these two on the left hand side. They just form a natural frame. So all I'm going to do is really fine tune that to get that right, to make sure it's really symmetrical. They're all nice and upright, so that's brilliant. I love that. And then next thing is I'm probably, let's have a look. If I zoom out, yeah, I quite like that shot. I don't want that tree in the center though. But what I do like, I like the foliage underneath. The foliage, the brown foliage, complements it, so I quite like that. Most important thing is though, is I'm going to opt for a shallow depth of field, probably 5.6. Even though I've got my 70 to 200mm lens on the camera, I'm going to opt for a shallow depth of field, and 5.6 will be nice and shallow because I'm zooming in a fair distance away. So everything close by will be a little bit out of focus, and everything beyond that green tree or that lime green tree will be out of focus as well. Obviously I'm going to focus on the tree when I'm ready to take a shot. So that's quite nice. So that's two shots I'm going to take. And now I'm going to zoom in and see if there's anything closer up. If I zoom right in there, for instance, I quite like that. So you've noticed now I've got the Christmas tree on the left hand side and that yellow tree on the right hand side. That works. I don't like this tree just protruding into the left hand side of the frame, but I would either crop that out or just simply clone that out. So I'm going to zoom in nice and tight and make sure that my focus is absolutely spot on. I'm on soft ground, so I've opted for a 10-second delay just to make sure that my lens and camera is really rested before I take the shot. There you go. And that on a 16:9 crop, I think, would look rather splendid. Walking along this path, I spotted this tree that's fallen down at a 45-degree angle. Again, perfect for background interest, and with the path as a lead-in line, it's just got all the ingredients for a nice image. Sticking with a 70 to 200mm lens, I'm just composing the image. I'll throw you guys in the camera so you guys can see. I'm looking at the shot now from afar, and I'm just going to zoom in and see if a composition will present itself, and I think it definitely does. The tones, the colors. So I'm looking again, like with most of my shots, I'm thinking nice and wide letterbox, 16:9 possibly as a pano shot. 16:9 crop, and that's quite nice. Now if I work this composition, I've got the path bottom right leading the viewer in to the point underneath where the tree falls down. Make sure I'm nice and level there, just double check that. Yeah, I'm nice and level there, and all I'm going to do now is make sure that I focus on that tree. I'll probably shoot this again with a really shallow depth of field, and I think it'll just work a treat. So let's get our ISO right down to 100 once again. I'm going to take a normal shot to begin with. I'm going to give myself options. Currently at f11. My histogram is looking right in the middle. I don't mind if it's slightly underexposed. Let's get that right down to f4. That's right down to f4. Now, that'll do nothing but draw the viewer's eye in to the main focal point of the image, which obviously is that fallen down tree. And that fallen down tree is gorgeous because the light's kicking from the left hand side. There's a shadow on the right hand side, obviously where it's absent of light. And I just think, contrasty wise, that works a treat. Yeah, nice that. Another one I think in the bag. There's a sand path that goes into the water with a slight S-bend, and that's caught my attention. Right, playing around with the composition, I think I found a composition that I quite like. I'm using this S-bend. It's drawing the viewer's eye in from the bottom right. It's a line of sand S-bend that's taking the viewer into the frame. The only sad thing about it, if you can call it a sad thing, is that the line of sand then continues to draw the viewer's eye away. But yeah, it sits nice in the bottom third. It does look quite nice. I am going to grab this shot. It does look okay. The only slight drawback is it's amazing how our eyes perceive a scene so much different to the camera. I'm looking up now at this mountain in the background and it just looks phenomenal. But even with a focal length of 100mm on my camera, it just pales into insignificance. It's just barely visible in the background, which is a real shame. Yeah, but okay, shot number one, nice shot. There's a beautiful, beautiful bit of light just dropping down onto that mountain in the background. It's quite nice, I quite like that. So let's pop that as a shot. I'm going to focus on that S-bend because that's going to draw the viewer's eye in, and to be on the safe side, in actual fact, let's take that at f11. Look at my histogram. Focus there once again, 1, 2. That'll take, and like I was trying to say earlier, let's get a focus on infinity as well on those mountains, just to make sure that they're definitely sharp in the frame. 1, 2. And I want to shoot that at a 2-minute exposure as well. In actual fact, I'm going to wait, there's some ducks coming in. I'm going to wait for those ducks to come into this shot. Double my ISO, double my shutter speed, just to be on the safe side. Oh, let's get those duck's in the right place. This there, perfect. Just there. 1, 2. That's a nice addition. And also while I'm here, I'm going to shoot this at a 2-minute exposure as well. I'm going to drop my 10-stop filter in there. So for me to do that, that shutter speed needs to be on 1/8 of a second. So let's just adjust my ISO and aperture accordingly. Let's close that aperture up. There you go. Definitely a gap there on the right hand side. So at 1/8 of a second, drop my 10-stop filter in there. That is a 2-minute exposure. Voyages of discovery are just the best days out. They really are. Especially when you go wandering around and you find something like that to use as foreground against that same background that I used a minute ago. Just terrific. I've already got set up and I'm already taking a 2-minute exposure. That is right up my street. It really is. Right, end of the day, and it's quite strange to think that you're rushing to capture a sunset at 3:30 p.m. Crazy really, isn't it? We did come down to the loch's edge to try and grab a sunset, but it just didn't look good. The water was nice, I'll show you now. The water was nice, the sky was alright, the light was okay, but there's just nothing in the foreground. So what I'm going to do now is, because it's still early in my mind, I'm going to have a wander around, just see if I can finish off by grabbing maybe a shot or two in the woods. Let me turn around and show you what this place looks like. Right, be careful, come right on the water's edge. Ooh, ooh. Right, take a look at this. So, just finishing off and walking through the woods. Believe it or not, it doesn't look like it on this camera, but it's quite dark. I mean, of course it is, it's 4 o'clock. How crazy is that? So I've been wandering around the woods trying to find compositions and nothing really is jumping out of me, but because the light has dropped and the light is way over to my right hand side, that's the reason why I'm looking at you from this camera angle. The light's coming from the right hand side. Well, it's side lighting these trees, and actually I think it looks really nice. Let me see if I can show you on the back of my camera. If I film that now, that'll give you an idea of what I'm looking at. So I'm just looking to isolate, like that tree there, is it in focus? Just about. Dark woods, 1 or 2 or 3 trees that are interesting or have an interesting shape about them. Like now what we're looking at, I think that looks quite nice and quite arty. Now, I've been caught out so many times when shooting woodland photography, so many times pictures look interesting and really quite cool on the back of your camera, but sometimes that just doesn't translate to the bigger screen. But yeah, I'm going to grab a couple of shots like this of interesting shapes and I'll see if it works. If it doesn't, I'll show you anyway.